Hey guys, how are you? So today we're going to be talking about some touchy topics. I would love for you to comment below on how you feel about loneliness or being alone or any of the people or situations that I'm bringing up. Hello my Beletzes. So today we're going to be talking about how to really enjoy being alone. Now, of course, I don't want you to be lonely. I don't want you to force yourself into undue isolation, but we are spending more and more time alone for the most part these days. And whether it's during COVID or just any time, there are tips that you can do, that you can implement that will help you to feel alone in a way that's very positive, as opposed to feeling lonely, which is actually a little bit negative. If you are new here, my name is Michele Paiva. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and today we're going to be talking about enjoying alone time. Now, I did some research this week, and there were 3 videos that really jumped at me that I felt really gave a lot of different benefits and a lot of reasons why someone would want to be alone. In addition to talking about those videos, we're going to be touching upon the psychology of being alone, and also I'm going to give you some tips on how to enjoy being alone. Number 1, the channel behind the brand. They recently interviewed Danica Patrick, and she was talking a lot about the benefits of being alone and why isolation and self-isolation can be really therapeutic and beneficial. Now, a lot of the focus of that video I felt was on the benefits of furthering yourself or achievement. And some of that video was focused on money, which I really like because I think that it's very important for us to focus on achievement and to focus on fiscal freedom. However, being alone and fiscal freedom don't always go hand in hand. However, on the flip side, I don't necessarily think that you need to be alone to find your purpose or passion. Also, not everyone who is happy or in fiscal freedom has to have a job or a career where they're specifically in their purpose. While I agree with a lot of that video, I don't necessarily think that we need to be in a purpose or a passion, and I don't necessarily think that just because you like something, if you focus enough time on it, you're always going to get really good at it to make an income. So one of the comments that Danica mentioned was that some people seem to self-sabotage themselves and get themselves fired because ultimately that's what they really want. Although that's true, I don't think that has anything to do with being alone, and I don't necessarily think it's self-sabotaging. I think that if you get yourself fired because that's really what you want ultimately, that's not self-sabotage at all. That's actually very productive. That's a very passive way of getting what you want, but that's not self-sabotage. Self-sabotage would be being in your passion and then doing something to stop your passion, limiting yourself in some way. Getting fired from a job that you don't like is not self-sabotage. That's actually a great door opener. Someone else that I really enjoy is Kelly Stamps, and what she had to say about being alone. She used the term loner lifestyle, and some of the reasons are that she said that she had scars from other relationships. And she was saying that she doesn't like most people. Now, I would actually go the opposite, that I think that she doesn't like being hurt. I think she likes people, and I think that's why she has more of a loner lifestyle. I also believe that she's probably more introverted by nature and that she just comes across extroverted because she's on camera, but many people that are on camera are actually very much introverts. For those of you who are old enough to remember, Johnny Carson was very much an introvert, but yet everyone thought he was extroverted. So I think that maybe Kelly Stamps might be the same way, that she's naturally someone who's more of an introvert. She thinks and processes more to herself, and she likes to interact, but she does guard herself, which is actually very smart, especially if you've been hurt before. And I am all for guarding yourself and protecting yourself if you've been hurt. Now, there's a difference between being alone and having a loner lifestyle while you are healing those scars. However, I don't think isolating is the way to go necessarily. I don't think that's what she's doing, but in general, if you're someone who is maybe more alone because you're afraid of being hurt again, that is totally understandable. One thing that she mentioned is that you can have more hobbies and you can have more of your own lifestyle if you are alone. Yes, that is definitely the case if you're around someone who is trying to hold you back, who might be a little jealous, or you have to do a lot of compromising that feels just too much. But if you're in a really positive relationship, your world is actually opened and you might be trying more things and you might be even more supported on those days where you're having a little self-doubt. That other person might be really motivating for you. So it all depends on the quality of the relationships that you have. Now, that being said, the more you're alone, the more you know what you want in a partner or in friendships. The more you're alone and the more you're comfortable with being alone, the less apt you are to settle for someone who's going to hold you back. The third video that I checked out was Lana Blakely. She actually was doing some soul searching and really looking at what are the types of people that are in her life, who are the people that she can reach out and call, who are the people that really support her and are genuinely happy for her. And she came to about 2 to 3 people that she truly would call friends. That is a very realistic idea of what most people have in their lives. Most of the time we have a lot of acquaintances in our lives that we call friends. We even call random strangers on Facebook friends, right? So it's important to know the difference between a true friend and an acquaintance. And I think that was something that Lana Blakely was really diving into. Now, all 3 of these women are in very different places in their lives, so they're bringing their worldview, which is incredibly valid. I feel like anyone at any age has a lot of insight and a lot to offer. Now, I feel like in our day-to-day, we are so used to being critical and there's so much negativity on social networking, especially Facebook and Twitter. Out of all of the social media, I feel that YouTube is one of the healthiest places to be because you really get an idea of who someone really is. You get to see their body language, you get to see their mannerisms, you get to see the eye contact even. Now let's talk about being alone versus lonely. Being alone is where you're filled up, and being lonely is where you feel like you're craving. Now it's very, very beneficial for you to have alone time. In fact, most people that say they have a hard time with exercising or a hard time with dieting, a hard time with meditating, or even in prayer, it's really not that they're having a hard time with those things. They're actually just having a hard time with being alone, being with themselves and trusting themselves through the process. So being alone can really help you to have inner trust, boost your self-worth and your self-value, and then you also carry yourself a little bit differently. When you carry yourself differently, you are treated differently often, and that helps to affirm externally that you're on the right course because you're not feeling empty. And you're noticing also without the affirmation that you feel even more filled up. Feeling alone feels like you're in abundance, that you're having a luxury of time, where feeling lonely feels like you're in deprivation, that you're punishing yourself or that someone is punishing you. The feelings of being lonely are going to feel like you're not good enough, you're not worthy, where being just alone feels like you're taking time for yourself and it really feels good. When you're feeling lonely, you're looking for social cues. You're looking for externals all of the time that you're on the right path or that you are of value. But when you're alone and when you're comfortable with that, you're not looking for social cues. You don't care what other people think. You're just in your lane, doing your thing, enjoying your life. Now, on the other end of this, if you don't like feeling alone and you start to feel lonely quite a bit, you tend to go in the other direction where you're in boundary and meshed relationships. These are the relationships that you get sucked into that might be with a narcissist or someone who's toxic, someone who doesn't want you to have your own life. This is where you feel like you might be micromanaged, or you feel like you're controlled, or in some way you're oppressed. So this is where you feel like you don't have freedom. And for most people, they think that they either have to be in that kind of a relationship or they have to be lonely. They haven't figured out that being alone is a wonderful place to be. A really good relationship is going to give you enough space that you have alone time as well as couple time or friendship time. Even within a family, there has to be autonomy where each individual gets to be their own person without any input or negativity from anyone else. That's one big place that healthy self-esteem comes from. But if you didn't get that in childhood, you still can get it now. Here's some ways that you can carve being alone into your life. Just take an hour a week to start. And if an hour seems like a lot, just start with 5 to 10 minutes a day that you're actually carving that time out. Go on mini adventures in your community, take your camera with you, take pictures, start seeing life through your eyes only without any external influence from someone else. If normally you have to ask someone about money, keep a bank account that has a certain amount of money in it that's just your own and spend it as you see fit. Become more fiscally free. For a lot of people, that's a big deal. Trust your own decision making. And if you make a mistake, that's okay, because failure is a part of life. It's not really a failure, it's a stepping stone. It's helping you learn. It's helping you learn what you need to get better at, what you need to change, what you need to tweak. The greatest minds in our history have always enjoyed alone time. Jesus, Buddha, Spinoza, Tesla. They saw the world through their own eyes and shared it with others and helped illuminate a new way of thinking. So if they could do that for an entire society, imagine what you could do just for yourself, just by seeing things in a new light. I don't want to scare you about social networking, but I do want you to check out another video that I have on social networking that really illuminates how dangerous it can be. And if you're new here, if you haven't joined the Ugly Cry Society, I encourage that. All the links to everything I discussed are below, and I would love for you to comment.